recently read through all the negative reviews on Steam for Foxhole and found the #1 complaint. A lot of the negative reviews say that Foxhole is toxic towards new players, and most of those reviews come up as the top reviews on Steam, so when new players go to buy the game, the first thing they see is about how bad the new player experience is. One thing a lot of these reviews have in common is how they talk about how new players get mass reported by bigger clans and banned even though the new player did nothing wrong. This is a known issue within the Foxhole community. New players read through these negative reviews and sometimes decide that they don't want to play a game where larger clans have the capability to ban them. The new players don't want to get banned for simply not knowing what to do. Foxhole still has a lot of positive reviews that help players learn more about the game, but most people when reviewing a product always focus on the negative reviews rather than the positive ones. The unfortunate truth is that this kind of mass reporting still happens. Sometimes it is used for its intended purposes, and sometimes the current system does get abused. I will note that you can never get permaban from others mass reporting you. Only the devs can make this decision. The bans you get from players only last a few hours, which can still be harmful to new players wanting to play this game. There are a lot of things new players don't understand about Foxhole when they start, and the tutorial system unfortunately doesn't help them either. It's almost like we need to provide new players with a list of do's and don'ts before they spawn into the world map. How many new players do you think have made dumb mistakes and got falsely banned? These players who made the mistakes and get falsely accused then leave negative reviews about their experience and never play again. Something new players should know is that even though it's stated that Foxhole is a sandbox game, you can't just jump in and start messing around with people's bases, resources, or vehicles whenever you want. And a lot of new players don't quite understand this concept when they first play the game. Once you've gotten to the base, locate your free tank. Then, when you have found the tank, use your wrench to liberate your free tank. And there you go, one free tank to use. Hey! Look, they are shooting at me, wishing me good luck. Sorry, I had to cut the audio because they were cheering so loudly for me and wishing me good luck on the front line. An example I like to tell new players relates to Minecraft. In Minecraft, you can't just join a Minecraft server and start blowing up everyone's buildings just because it's a sandbox environment. You need to respect what other players have built and the hard work that they've put into that. In Foxhole, it's very similar. If you start messing around with stuff that is not yours, two types of people will approach you. One type of person is the salty, paranoid vet that will think that you are alting and trying to sabotage their base. The second type of person to approach you is still paranoid, but they will ask you if you need help learning the game and will assist you. In both scenarios, the player is normally still paranoid because they're not sure what your intentions are. That's why I always tell new players to make sure that they use their voice or text chat to let players know that they are new. If you start taking random vehicles and driving them into the water, chances are you're probably going to get banned. Trolls don't last long in Foxhole. Some trolls think that they can come in and game the system and get away with sabotaging people's hard work, and they find out very quickly that the ban hammer is swift for them. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the negative Steam reviews about being banned were from failed troll attempts. Luckily, with recent updates to the game, the amount of trolls has decreased significantly, which is why I think vet players shouldn't be as paranoid as they still are with new players. It's like vet players have some sort of PTSD from how ults used to ruin our game and haven't left that mindset, which is where the conflict comes in with vet players and new players.
Out.
Oh, get out!
That's not your.
He's anti-game, man. Fuck off.
Hey, les chauffeurs, on se
Wait. Hold the line. Don't. We're too far in front, guys.
On se cache.
Creep up together. If
No,
one
you are not
one of
doing
us is
the tank.
right in
I'm
front,
built
we're gonna
that
get
tank.
smoked.
And for sure.
No,
Just,
I'm
get
not mean
out
about
with your
you.
fucking
It's
regiment,
about
man.
that one.
Oh, this guy right here, Versna?
Fuck off.
Is this guy?
No, that's not your tank. It's for sure, man.
It is.
Okay.
That's
In terms of
absolutely
defense
not
stuff,
Is that your dog?
in the middle of the
Go
road they
get
have.
Fuck off,
Okay,
man.
One
Versna,
equal
is this your
box
tank?
on the side.
I'm built this tank.
Okay,
180
Sunny,
toolbox
this
far
is
left
your
border,
tank?
shouldn't be an issue.
This is not your
All their
business.
tanks are in a mess.
We're talking
It's
Their
not your
lines are
tank.
a mess.
I'm built this
What the
tank.
fuck?
Is that
That is
our
a
artillery,
fucking
by the way?
problem.
I believe Sunny.
Yeah, it is.
LSC, I think that this is Versna's tank.
Okay,
Right, let's focus.
There of course has been some bad faith acting over the years, and sometimes you can't really tell who is in the wrong. Is it the clan members in the wrong, or is it the one who was reported? Most of the time we never get the full story on both sides of what happened. I would honestly hate to be the person that has to read through these support tickets to pick a side. We need to keep in mind that some of these clan man bad Steam reviews are mainly trolls or people that were trying to cause issues in the game. They wanted free resources or vehicles from the clans and probably got mass reported for stealing, and then they played the victim card. But unfortunately there are people in clans that continue to abuse abuse the reporting tool in-game. Some clans and people are out there using the report system to simply be malicious, which is harmful for the game. I have several recommendations on how we can mitigate this problem for future new players. I love Foxhole and I hate seeing stories from new players who didn't know about the unwritten rules and who got falsely banned from the big clans. No one clan or player should have the collective power to prevent somebody from playing this game. Something needs to change. Reasons players normally get mass reported are for being suspected as an alt. Paranoid vets are the main issue for this reason. I won't lie, I'm still paranoid around players with no ranks or low ranks, but I always start off really positive with them and see if I can help them first before jumping to any negative conclusions. You doing alright, man? I first noticed Nick wandering around in random buildings.
No.
Do you need help? Whenever I see a Foxhole player in the backline with any of these ranks wandering around, I always ask if they need help. And you should too. You need help figuring something out? Another reason new players get mass reported is for accidentally killing a friendly player or destroying a friendly vehicle.
43. Excellent. I have no doubt they will be gone by the time I'm dead. Why did you just... That's an alt, that's an alt.
I remember a story of someone that was banned because they thought friendly mines didn't damage friendly vehicles. So they put the mines behind the friendly vehicles, and because of this, they were banned. And this is all because they were new and didn't know better, and they got a short ban for it. If I was a new player, I would be really mad about that. Sometimes vet players can even try and mass report other vet players because they have a difference of opinion on how the game should be played. Most of the time it has to do with one or two players who have egos that don't really belong in this game. Or sometimes you can even have whole regiments be at war with one another over resources. And in this case, they start to abuse the mass reporting system to make sure other players are banned so that they can take over that resource field. Long ago, mods in the game used to exist and they would moderate these interactions. But because the game has grown and the team is still very small, they can't dedicate one person to constantly babysit us 24/7. The player reported bans are automated because they are a small dev team and they don't want the real bad players running around for too long causing a lot of damage. So it creates these unfortunate situations where this automated short-term ban system can get abused and can get new players banned from the game up to 12 hours, even though they might have just started playing the game. Is this the correct system to use for Foxhole? Is there a better way to handle this without automated bans? The devs don't work on weekends or holidays, so it seems like the automatic ban system for this type of game is needed. But how do we make it better? Unfortunately, how the current system is designed, I believe it's too easy to be abused and it's really harmful for these new players. We as the community have to handle these situations on our own until the devs are able to step in and evaluate the situation. The devs will handle some situations on a case-to-case basis to determine if any harsher ban needs to be handed out. Permabans are only handed out by the devs, not the players. Again, I believe the moderation system causes more harm to Foxhole than helps right now. I think it's one of the main reasons that stops new players from joining or new players from continuing to play the game after updates. New players join and some of those new players get caught in the crossfire from paranoid vets because the new players did something they didn't know they shouldn't do. Then the new player never touches the game again. This awful cycle repeats itself every update and people continue to believe that this game has a toxic community when in reality the toxic community is very small and a minority in this game. To the new player, it makes it seem like moderation in Foxhole is by mob rule. It can be quick and fast to make sure the ults and griefers are shut down as fast as possible, which is good, but from a new player's perspective, it can seem like a bunch of veteran players are just ganging up on new players and kicking them out of the game because they made a simple mistake. Sometimes we do have cases where Clanman in chat is saying, this person is doing X, we need to report them right now.
Yeah, the problem is all the tanks you're upgrading are getting thrown into the river right now. Yep,
Some of these are squad locked to a squad I'm not in.
Yeah, he's literally just parking vehicles and leaving them. He's disconnecting the wires to everything.
This is that more intended usage for this reporting system. I remember when I first started out, I thought you needed to take supplies from other bunker bases to forward bunker bases to supply them. I got caught taking supplies from a midline bunker and the guy immediately thought I was some kind of alt. I had to explain to him that I thought this is where you move supplies from in game. Then he told me about crates and where I could make my own supplies and move them to the front. An easy mistake like that could have got me banned. Another story is I remember a situation where we were trying to build a forward bunker. We had a lot of Logi trucks full of supplies and BMATs, and some random person came up and locked one of our trucks. We tried to speak with them and let them know that we needed this for our forward bunker. We eventually had to mass report and kick him because he was causing more harm and damage than he was helping. Again, that time the system worked as intended. This could easily be one of those stories that you see on the Steam reviews where a person gets upset because they have no idea why the clan attacked him and why the system was abused. One last story is what we try to stay away from at all costs. A player on the front was placing sandbags in the wrong spot and a whole clan mass reported them and they were banned for an hour. Banned for an hour because you thought you were helping. I'd be upset and quit the game for a while. I'd probably even refund the game if that was me. So I get it for these new players in some of these Steam reviews. This type of behavior from vets and clans really needs to stop. Instead, the clans and vets need to take time to make these teaching moments instead of automatically just pulling the trigger on the ban hammer. Maybe we need to have it so that people who have falsely reported before have their abilities to report players taken away. Punishment definitely needs to happen to those that do false reports. A couple of days or even week-long bans. And if they falsely report multiple times, maybe even a permaban. I've talked about this in previous videos, but having some kind of person as an in-game mod would really help. But we all know that's not really possible again with the small dev team that Foxhole has. From what I've heard from players that have been kicked, what they hear back from the devs is a simple email that basically says, sorry we kicked you, now you can play again. And it takes several days for the devs to check this and get back to these new players. This is just what I've heard from the players, so of course this is going to make any new player super mad and never want to play the game again. And it would obviously make them mad enough to leave a bad review. One of the big questions I have for this video is, can we as a player base name and shame these individual clans and individual players who falsely report new players? Is it something that we should start doing to see who those sweaty vets are that keep falsely reporting people? If we can't name and shame because the devs say it's witch hunting, then what can we do to make this happen less? Is there a better way to report this information? Is there a better way to report people who are falsely reporting? Maybe we need to stop trusting that random person in chat who says report X player without further proof. Us blindly following some random chatter in world chat could cause more harm. I'd say the biggest trigger for a ban hammer to fall on you is lack of communication. New players don't know how this team game works when they first start. They are used to other loosely structured team games like Squad, Call of Duty, or Battlefield where you can get in any vehicle you want. In those games, you are basically free to do as you wish without any backlash from your team. But if you bring that type of attitude to Foxhole, you're going to get yourself reported and banned right away. And this is where I think those negative Steam reviews come from, and the overall conflict between new players and vet players. Every weapon and vehicle and base around you was built by another player's hard work. So to new players out there, be careful when first joining Foxhole and communicate as much as you possibly can. I feel like a vast majority of players that can use a mic right away don't find themselves in these situations of being falsely reported. Be a good team player and you won't get mass reported by clans or yelled at by individuals. If you want to learn to do something in game or want to play with some kind of vehicle right away when you join Foxhole, then you just need to ask other players in game. Unfortunately, a lot of this game is something that you can't just learn by yourself. You need to work with your team. If you want to mess around with building facilities or bunkers and experiment, then you need to go to the far back line of a war and in the corner and try those things out for yourself. You should try not to bother anybody else or build right next to anybody else as well. I know this sounds all very strict, but it's just the best way not to get on people's nerves. Remember, we need to think back to the Minecraft server. If you're in this giant big server and you can build wherever you want and do whatever you want, you're not going to place your house right next to somebody else's house. You should find your own space to do your building. When Charlie's server is up, it's a great place to learn how to do things. And when the dev branch is available, when new updates are coming out, this is probably the best place to experiment with facilities or bunker designs. Now, most of the time, the person getting mass reported is probably an alt. But even if this is the case 90% of the time, we still don't want to lose 10% of all of our new players just because we are trying to be careful and not let other alts do harm in the game. That 10% of players most of the time is just clueless noobs who have no idea what they're doing. They probably end up wandering into some big clan's base by accident and see all these fun toys that they can play with. They may even take some supplies by accident as well. A new player might not know the difference right away between a player-built base and an NPC building, and sometimes the clan will not take the time to teach the new player, but instead accuse them of being an alt and ban them right away. We need people to be more open to teaching new players first before accusing them of being an alt. I know most gaming communities don't like witch hunts, but how should we handle these players that are falsely reporting new players and making these new players quit? Because they are harming the game in the long run. I think we really do need a list of the people that are falsely reporting. I think we need to screen capture these events and record them as much as possible as well. But I know the devs would probably not like this to be public knowledge, and it may cause more harm. But for all we know, it could just be a few individuals or the same clan that keeps getting these new players banned. I know there are certain types of new players out there that can't accept feedback or criticism as well, and they will come running to write a negative review because somebody told them how to play the game. The vet player was probably just being a bad teacher, but they had good intentions with wanting to show the new player what they should be doing. But here's my advice for the new player and the vet. Drop your egos and be open for feedback and be patient with one another. Accept that someone might know more than you. Basically, be a decent human being. I still stress this to new players until the end of time. New players, feel free to ask questions when around others or in world chat at all times. Communicate as much as you can and use your mic as much as possible if you're able. It will show that you're willing to learn and people will be nicer to you because of that. This is not saying that not using voice is bad, but it can be harder just starting out as people don't know you as well. This is really a tight-knit community. I see a lot of the same names in the backline and the front line when I log on. People really get to know one another in this game. Another quick tip is if you get team killed over a situation or disagreement, don't try and team kill them back. Just report the person that team killed you and move on. I've seen situations where new players team kill the other player back and then they get mass reported from a clan. Record screenshots, record video, and take the higher ground and just report them. Foxhole is a sandbox game, yes, but there are still unwritten rules. And remember that this is a massive game where wars can last 30 or 40 days long, and people put a lot of time into things that they make, and of course they will get upset if some random player ruins it. And because there is no immediate moderation from the game devs, most of the time we as the players are the ones that enforce the rules, and unfortunately we haven't been 100% accurate with all of our decisions. But this is why we have to start having these conversations and start working on being better, because we don't want to keep losing new players to these false reports. Unlike what most negative reviews say on Steam, the Foxhole community is extremely friendly and helpful. Most vets love to help new players.
I'm gonna hop off this now, but thanks for showing me the ropes.
Yeah. If you ever need help with anything or want to learn something new, swing by. You never know what we're up to. We might be in submarines, we might be on a battleship, or we might be running around with our heads cut off like we are today.
Yeah, we do tanking, RD, medics, everything.
Remember what I taught you today, and I would recommend just muting and avoiding tired, salty vets, especially when you're new and trying to learn the game. Clans are very friendly 90% of the time. Ask to join their clan, ask to help, have them teach you how to play. If you ever need anything in Foxhole, just remember to ask. The worst thing that a player or clan can say is no. I've played this game for over 1,000 hours, mostly solo and some with clans, and I've never had an issue with any clan and never seen someone banned for no reason. If you are on the fence about Foxhole because you don't want to get randomly yelled at by a clan player because you don't know how to play the game, then DM me on Discord, which you'll find a link to in the description below, and I will personally teach you how to play this game, and I will promise you that you will have a wonderful time. Current system, I would say, still doesn't work perfectly, but no banning system in any video game is perfect. We as a community should continue to think of better solutions in order to find a way that works for everyone. Newer players shouldn't have to suffer being banned for several hours just because they didn't know what they were doing. I promise you, new players, the longer you play, the less you will encounter toxic players. They really are a small minority within Foxhole, and the Steam reviews and Reddit make it seem like they are all over. The bad ones, of course, are the most vocal and easier to remember than the more quiet and nice people in Foxhole. Have you ever been falsely reported by a clan? Can you explain exactly where the miscommunication and confusion was? Are you someone that was on the fence about Foxhole because of those negative reviews? Vets, do you think that false reporting has gotten better within Foxhole or worse? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and your support. Make sure to subscribe for more Foxhole content. Remember to communicate with your team and ask questions. Cheers.